Joe Lycett is first tonight.
Oh, yes, OK.
I once had a fight with a flamingo and won.
Last Christmas, the biggest family row in the Lycett household was over how many doof-doofs there are in the EastEnders closing theme tune.
Oh.
Lee Mack's team.
So you mean the bit just before the music starts, I think, I mean, obviously, you know, you were in EastEnders.
Yeah, but I never actually got myself a duff-duff.
Oh, no.
I was there for 6 years, no duff-duff.
You never had a duff-duff?
I had one duff-duff, and Wendy Richards was in it, and then when they took it to the edit, they zoomed in on her and cut me out of the duff-duff. How many duff-duffs did your family decide there were?
So, it was a generational gap. So
Yes.
me and my sister thought there were 8, because there are 8. My parents thought there were 7.
Give us your 8.
Doof, 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 doof.
Oh, I think you're
Sorry,
wrong.
excuse me, though.
No,
That can't be. That's not how many doof-doofs there are.
Yeah.
That's how many doofs there are. If the unit is doof-doof, then there are 4.
He does have a point,
That's
you
why
know.
David has never been invited to someone's house for Christmas.
I think you stuck too many duffs in there.
Go on, you do it.
Duff, 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 duff.
No, that's not it.
You were in the show! Did you, at the end of the night, find out exactly how many duff-duffs there were, or did you just leave it, we're right, you're wrong, without no
Yeah,
sort
basically, we didn't rewind.
So we don't
were on
actually know
something else.
right now with 8.
Well, we do. It's 8. It is
Well,
8.
you ain't really checked it, have you?
Yeah, I have.
You have checked it.
But you didn't
because
check it
I've
at the
watched
time.
EastEnders and I know.
But I've watched EastEnders, but I don't ever count...
I don't think you have.
I think there's only 3, because I think the fast ones at the end aren't duff-duffs, they're something else.
Like a little...
I'm sort of with Joe. I think it's probably 2 to 2.5 doof-doofs or 4 to 5 doofs
What's a
before the
half-doof?
nature, the nature of the noise changes such that it can no longer be labelled either a doof or a half
Agree.
doof-doof.
So, yes. Well, bearing that in mind and knowing your love for music, give us your rendition, then, of the end drum.
Now, I feel that would be... I'd be humiliated.
Would you like me to give you a lead in, a dramatic moment?
No, thank you.
This is Elsie, who works in a laundry.
Who's Elsie? She was never in EastEnders.
She's a character that I've created.
Well, what about Dot Cotton? Come on,
Yeah,
her.
you look a bit like Dot Cotton.
You do a bit.
You've definitely got...
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm going to try it.
Oh.
I think that's Mick Jagger you're doing it.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to my laundry. It's gone somewhere.
Doof, 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 doof.
All right. What are you
Hey,
thinking?
well, that sounds like the washing machine's broken.
See, I think after about 5 minutes, I would have just gone to the YouTube and had a little look on there. I think he's lying.
I always like to go counterintuitive, so I'm going to say I think he's lying as well. Yeah.
OK, I'm going to have to say lie.
You're going to have to say lie. OK, Joe Lycett, truth or lie?
It's a lie.
Oh, thank you, guys.
So please welcome this week's special guest, Amy. So, Joe, what is Amy to you?
This is my friend Amy, and I grossly offended her when I made a less than perfect sculpture of her head.
Nish, how do you know Amy?
This is my friend Amy. We became friends after I found her asleep in a box of volleyballs.
And finally, David, what is your relationship with Amy?
This is Amy. She is the charity shop worker who sold my shoes whilst I was otherwise engaged trying on a pair of cowboy boots.
Lee, where do you want to start?
Nish, remind us again, Nish?
I found her in a box of volleyballs.
First of all, where were you where there was a box of volleyballs?
I was working at a leisure centre just after I left school. And Amy was also working there over the summer between school and uni.
Right.
And they sent me to check on the volleyballs.
Well, just check on the volleyball.
That's a good job from you, Greg.
Make sure the volleyballs aren't messing around. Is your manager recently been watching Toy Story.
I believe the technical term was conduct inventory. So I was
Right.
just
You're
trying
supposed
to make
to count
sure.
them.
Yeah, you're supposed to count them. And it turned out that what she was doing was because no one really wanted to play volleyball, she'd found the perfect spot to have a mid-work
How
sleep
big
in.
was this box?
It was like woman size.
Could she stretch woman
woman
size?
size.
Yeah.
You've heard of a volleyball coffin? That's how they transport volleyball. Yeah.
So you opened it up and you saw,
A sleeping woman.
amongst all these volleyballs, how many were there?
I think probably like 35.
You see, you've just said to me that this box was woman-sized. Now, the largest woman I've ever seen is still smaller than 35 volleyballs. I've used this as a chat-up line. If a woman says, oh, I feel a bit fat in this, I'll always go, don't be silly, you're less than 35 volleyballs for me. So did you wake her up?
Yes. And so we became friends because then I would also often have a nap
In the volleyballs?
In the volleyballs.
What was her job supposed... What was she supposed to be doing at the time?
Perhaps she was sent to count the volleyballs earlier. Become bored by the monotony of the process. The boss kept... I keep sending people to count the volleyballs and they never come back.
Working at the leisure centre, Nish, what else did your job demand of you?
Basically, all-round dog's body, so I would work on the front desk
I
sometimes.
think you said all-round ball games.
So everything except rugby.
Bowls, David.
What?
They're not totally spherical in bowls. That's
Are
why
they not?
That's why they curve.
I would say, colloquially, they're still round, though.
Oh, hello. It's all kicking off at Bridge Club.
All right. Who else would you like to quiz?
OK, Joe, what situation were you in where you were sculpting her head?
I have an office in Birmingham where I live.
That'll do. So, yeah, I totally believe it. I mean, that makes it... You can answer any question you like, I don't mind. You have an office in Birmingham?
Yeah.
Right.
Why? Why?
Just to write jokes and be creative in.
So, you went to this office to write jokes...
Yeah.
...and said to your friend, would you like to come along, sit in the corner, and I'll sculpt your head?
I've been looking for a use for all that clay I keep in my office.
Had you just been watching a Lionel Richie video? Hello? Oh. So, did you know how to do this?
No. But, yeah, I thought practice makes perfect, so I called Amy and...
How long did you spend doing it?
Maybe an hour or so.
Weren't you tempted to just make it really soft, get her face, push it into it, then do the back of her head, and then go, well, at least I've got a mould.
You said she was offended by this sculpture.
Yes, she was
So
offended.
what did you end up with?
It didn't look like her.
What did it look like?
It looked more like Ainsley Harriott.
OK. Now, what about David? I'm looking forward to this. What was it you claimed, David?
That Amy is the charity shop worker.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
Who sold my shoes
Yes.
whilst I was otherwise engaged trying on a pair of cowboy boots.
Can you talk us through the incident, please?
Well, I was in the charity shop.
Which charity shop?
It was a Marie Curie charity shop near where I live.
OK. So I'm setting the scene before this. You're at home, you're thinking, it's about time I got myself some cowboy boots. But I'm not willing to commit to a new pair in case I go off the idea.
Just on the very slightest off chance
Yeah.
it don't turn out to suit me and my personality.
Cowboy boots, I'll be honest with you, don't particularly appeal to me aesthetically.
Wow. That
I
surprises
don't think
me.
they go with what I like to call my style.
Right. Well, how would you describe that style, David?
I think my style is indescribable.
Oh, no, I could describe it.
I think it's best left undescribed.
OK.
I wasn't sitting at home plotting the purchase of some cowboy boots.
No.
I was pottering around near my house, and I saw the Marie Curie shop, and I saw in the window what looked like a nice selection of second-hand novels.
Right.
And I went in, and it wasn't a nice selection of second-hand novels. It was all Ken Follett crap. But I did notice the array of shoes, and I tend to take my shoes off at home and maybe wear slippers or socks. I don't want this to get too sexy. And so
Hang on, I need my inhaler.
So what I vaguely was on the lookout for was a pair of everyday, easy-to-put-on, non-lacing shoes that I could keep by the back door in case I needed to pop into the garden for some gardening.
But you said you'd taken some of your shoes to the charity shop.
I was wearing shoes.
What, you decided take them off in the shop and hand them to her?
When you go shoe shopping, do you go barefoot? Take you seriously.
No. When I take shoes,
don't keep me waiting. When
I take shoes to the shoe rider shop,
Yeah.
I choose shoes that I no longer want. I don't wander around and then go, well, do you know what? You can have these if you want. Why would you do that? You take them ready to give.
I wasn't. It was not my plan.
Can I just say, Rob, you're the only person in the whole of the United Kingdom watching this that isn't following this story.
Well, he said he took off his shoes.
Why do you think he took the shoes off?
To try the other one.
To try the cowboy shoes on.
Oh. Right, sorry. Well, David, I owe you an apology. There you are in the shop.
Yeah. I'm in the shop and I spot these cowboy boots, and to me, they look sort of quite loose and easy to slip on.
What length? Not width, length.
I'd say that long.
About that, so they're coming up to just below the knee?
They're not, you know...
How tall are you, Rob? They're not below...
For me, they'd be thigh length.
Can't see over these.
I would say they're, for a cowboy, they're shortish. But
Leather or suede?
But they're not ankle boots.
Leather or suede?
Leather. And with a sort of bit of... I don't know the technical shoe terms, but sort of like a bit of crenellation sort of flapping on them. I'm just going to have to use the terminology of the medieval castle. It's the only way of describing it. Anyway, they look
So
like...
you saw them? You saw them?
I saw them.
OK.
So I thought, I'll try them on.
Yeah.
But they were slightly harder to get on than I imagined.
People in the shop, I imagine, were going, why is David Mitchell trying on cowboy boots?
The shop wasn't as packed as you're imagining. In fact, I thought myself to be the only customer there.
Right.
I was soon disabused of that notion.
When did you notice that your own shoes had been sold?
I think, well, I remember I walked to the back of the shop in the cowboy boots, restraining an urge to walk like John Wayne. And when I came back towards the shoe area, I noticed that my shoes weren't there.
And did you see who'd bought them?
I didn't, no.
I'm picturing a scene where you walk out the shop and you walk home, and then a few minutes later, a cowboy goes up to the counter and says, "Excuse me, I was just trying on a pair of..." And then behind him a clown and then a sailor. And this just goes on all day, round and round.
Yeah. David, I don't know you. I've just got to know you today, and I admire you very much. But what I know of you from watching you on TV, the cowboy boots, it's just... I can't buy it. I can't imagine you'd even try them on.
Well, in which case, then you should say that I'm lying.
I might do.
So, we need an answer. Lee's team. Is Amy Joe's miffed model, Nish's sleepy sidekick, or David's sneaky shoe seller?
I'm more inclined to believe Nish myself.
You believe Nish?
Yeah.
Because?
Because, I don't know, I just think Amy and Nish look like they could be really good mates.
Miles, you think...
Well, I was looking at her very closely. While Joe was talking about sculpting her, she looked quite icy about the whole thing.
Wow.
And, of course, she was very offended in the stories, but during David's story, she looked, understandably baffled.
I think it might be Joe, actually. What do you think?
Well, I'm beginning to think. It doesn't even matter what I think. Your own... my job really is to agree with you, Lee. You are a man...
Are we trying to reenact Dad's Army here?
Do you think that's wise, sir? I think... I think Nish is telling the truth.
You think Nish is telling the truth? You think Nish is telling the truth?
Yeah.
Right, in that case, I'll go with what my team say.
You're saying it's Nish?
No, I'm overruling. I'm going with Joe.
Are you seriously?
I feel it's Joe.
All right. Amy, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm Amy and I'm Joe's friend.
Here. This is the sculpture that Joe... Oh, good Lord. This is the sculpture. Get ready for this. You will never, in your lifetime, witness a worse sculpture than this. Poor woman. Yes, Amy is Joe's miffed model. Thank you very much, Amy.
Thank you.
If I'm ever walking alone at night, I call out the name of an imaginary dog to deter any muggers.
David's team.
What's the name of the dog?
Brian.
As if it's going to be a vicious dog, it would be Brian, wouldn't it? Definitely.
Do you think a would-be attacker would, from the tone that you say Brian, know that you mean a dog and not a Brian?
To me, it sounds like you'd be calling a middle-aged civil servant.
Well, it's because I read an article written by Darren Brown in which he said if you're in a situation where things look like they're getting a bit choppy, if you do something unusual, the other person is so sort of freaked out by that they generally stop doing what they're doing if they're being a very...
How do you shout? Imagine I'm a terrifying would-be assassin.
You know, in your whole panel, maybe you're not the first choice for that role.
John, imagine if John was... all right, imagine Danny is a terrifying would-be assassin.
Yes.
And go for it.
Brian.
You don't want to attack me now, do you? No, that's terrifying to me. Is it just someone comes up to you at night, mates ask for the time, you go, Brian, you just flip out, or is it a general mugging?
I like you, Danny.
Everyone's got their own showbiz personas, and you and Danny completely gone for different ones, haven't you?
I think we're very similar in many ways.
Yeah, no, I do.
We're lovers.
Danny, stay calm, please. Stay calm down.
Oh, you had to start shouting Brian.
Just say, Joe, you're playing with fire there. I'd leave it.
I'm feeling this one.
You think it's true?
Read a Darren Brown book for a start. He's that sort of...
I believe the Darren Brown article, but the whole point of that is that you say something random that sort of puts people off their stride, whereas you're going for something specific, calling upon a dog called Brian to come to your aid. But that's immediately disprovable. The absence of Brian is immediately evident. Whereas calling upon Brian, they're going to go, Brian? Oh, there's no Brian. Fine.
My big sticking point is still, if you were trying to create the illusion that you had a dog, why you would give it a person's name.
Yeah.
Would you shout dog?
You'd shout like...
Dog. Rover or Fido.
Yeah, that would be good. If he had a dog called Dog, that would... Dog!
What would you call him, John? Rambo,
well,
Tyson?
my defence is slightly different. I would wet my pants.
So, what are you thinking, David?
John.
I don't believe it.
Danny?
So I think it's true.
You think it's true?
I think he's that...
Now I have to make a decision. My gut is that it's not true.
Let's go no, then. Let's have a lie.
Let's say lie.
You're going to say lie?
Yeah.
OK. Joe, truth or lie?
It was a lie.
Yes.
Yes, it was a lie all along. Joe doesn't call out the name of an imaginary dog to deter muggers. So please welcome this week's special guest, David. So, Joe Lycett, what is David to you?
This is my neighbour, David, and last year, to save money, we time-shared a Christmas tree.
Ruth, how do you know David?
This is David, and he walked into a charity shop just as I was donating the gift he'd given me a few days earlier.
Right, Ruth's charitable chum. And finally, David, what is your relationship with David?
This is David, and when my daughter lost her beloved toy rabbit, we held up a train so I could board it and grab it.
So there we have it. Lee's team, where would you like to begin?
Joe, next door neighbour?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, why aren't you just buying your own Christmas tree?
Well, David and I decided to save a bit of money. We knew David was going away on Christmas Eve, so he wasn't going to use the Christmas tree after that point. I was working pretty much up until Christmas, so we thought it was a good idea that we
So he got it from the 1st of December?
He got it on the 12th to the 24th. Then I had it from the 24th to the 1st. I got rid of it on the 1st.
And did you take it decorated?
Yeah.
Just in one like that and just plonk it in your house?
So that's why we won't do it again, because we worked out that the savings that we made from sharing the cost of the tree, which was about 60 quid, we saved that, but the amount of baubles that we lost in the transit.
And this was all about saving £30?
Yes.
But, you know, you're doing all right.
David's not.
What was your Christmas setup after the 24th? Did you have people staying with you?
They didn't stay, but they came for Christmas dinner.
For the day?
Oh, you remember they came to watch EastEnders?
Yeah. You had a big row with them, don't you remember?
We had the big row, yeah.
Right, who would you like to question next?
Ruth. Yes. Can you remind us of your...
David's my cousin, and he walked into a charity shop just as I was donating the gift he'd given me a few days earlier.
What was the gift?
What was the gift, first of all?
Right, it's one of those, you know, them really ugly porcelain pig things that open.
Huh?
You know them on...
Cookie jar?
Yeah, but smaller than a cookie jar. Not big enough for a cookie jar, so you couldn't even use it for that.
So, sorry, you've gone into the charity shop to get rid of this pig thing?
Yeah, that's the only words that can
Your cousin's
describe it.
walked in?
Yeah.
And gone, taking a pig for a walk? What are you doing with a pig? What did you say?
I didn't expect him to be there.
Did you carry on with the process of, like, let's get rid...
Yeah, talk us through exactly what happened after he walks in.
Right, David came in because he saw me. There was absolutely no other reason for him to go in the charity shop. You could tell he was really upset, but without wanting
But
to...
did he mention... What did he say?
He went, oh, what are you doing? Like, he just pointed at this pig that I'm holding.
Yeah.
And I panicked, so I said, look, I didn't want to tell you at the time, but I've already got one.
Ah. So when did he actually find out the truth, then?
So I had to call David and tell him I was coming on Would I Lie to You? And I can't stand the thought of hurting anyone's feelings.
So you thought you'd bring him on national television and humiliate him?
No, we've since spoke, and he's lovely.
Right. Now, Lee, what about David? David, remind us of your claim and your statement.
This is David, and he helped me board a train to rescue a rabbit.
First of all, where were you going from?
I was going from London to Cardiff.
With your wife and child?
Exactly.
Was you going there for a reason?
What do you mean by that? You're going to have a reason to go to Cardiff? Oh, you come down here with your Cockney patter. People go to Cardiff just because they want to visit it.
Sorry, mate.
Did you like it there, David?
It was very nice.
Did you
Honestly,
like it?
I'd put Carlisle into the train app, so...
Talk us through what happened.
Well, what happened, we got on the train, and she... this rabbit called Pink Rabbit. It's a pink rabbit.
What's it called?
She calls it Pink Rabbit.
That's it. She's got your sort of creativity.
Thank you. And it's her second favourite cuddly toy.
Who's the favourite?
The favourite is another rabbit. He's called Wiggles.
Wiggles?
Oh, OK.
Aww.
But Wiggles never leaves the house.
Oh, has he got an asbo?
It's better we always know where Wiggles is.
Oh, OK.
But Pink Rabbit is the favourite of the toys she will take out of the house.
How had you acquired the rabbit? Where did the rabbit come from?
It was probably a Christmas present at some point. But the thing is, it was around for a couple of years. It's among the various... She's got lots of toy rabbits and that sort of thing. And then suddenly, and I'm not quite sure why, Pink Rabbit came to favour. It was like Stalin emerging as the front runner of the Politburo. You know,
Are you still doing the bedtime stories?
He wasn't the obvious successor to Lenin, but then a few years later, suddenly he's in charge. So Pink Rabbit has had a meteoric rise.
Right. Yeah. You get off the train at Cardiff.
Exactly.
And when do you realise the rabbit's gone?
When we've got to the hotel and my wife realises, and a look
that
of...
she's married to you and has a breakdown.
Thank you. As always, you've made it so Christmassy. But then she sort of takes me aside and says, I don't think we've got Pink Rabbit.
So at no point has your daughter made any reference to this rabbit, even though it's her favourite rabbit.
I know. The thing is, when we got on the train, my daughter said, can we get Pink Rabbit out of the bag? I want to have Pink Rabbit with me on the train. And it was my strong view that that was a bad idea. That we should keep Pink Rabbit in the bag where we know where Pink Rabbit is and only get Pink Rabbit out when we get to Cardiff. But no, I was overruled. It was apparently fine and she would keep an eye on Pink Rabbit and not forget about Pink Rabbit.
OK.
So, your wife said to you, Pink Rabbit's gone.
Yeah.
Do you phone the train station? Because Pink Rabbit's on the way back to London.
No.
No?
No. Pink Rabbit is on the way to Swansea.
Yeah.
Where it is going to turn round and then head back to London via, and here's the loophole...
The Lake District.
No. Via Cardiff. The train is coming back via Cardiff.
So you know now where the train is headed. So what do you decide to do?
We go to Cardiff station in order to get on it and look for Pink Rabbit.
But you said a cuddly toy.
Oh, yes.
How many children do you have?
One.
Well, of course, classic only child scenario. I've got 5. I would have said the rabbit's dead. Get on with your life. So what happened?
Well, we went to the station.
Yeah.
David was in the sort of glass room / booth next to the barriers.
It's nice that he's brought it with him.
We went up to him and said, look, we haven't got tickets for the train, but we don't want to get on the train. We want to go and retrieve a toy rabbit. And he looked quite stern and severe and then nodded and went, yeah, that's fine. And it was a wonderful moment of possibility.
Right. So then what happened?
The train comes into the station. My wife goes to the front of the train to talk to the driver.
She's such a flirt.
And we've worked out where our carriage would be coming in.
Yes.
I get on the right carriage to look for Pink Rabbit and, as it turned out, thankfully find Pink Rabbit and then get off the train.
The bit we haven't heard yet is that if you have specifically said, I don't think the rabbit should leave the bag, and then you get to the hotel and she says, oh, we haven't got the rabbit. How did that conversation go?
Well, what can I say? I'm a hell of a guy.
But what did you actually say?
I did not say, I told you so.
You didn't say I told you so?
I did not say I told you so.
You might not said it with your mouth. Did you say it with your eyes?
Oh, well, I can't
Did you go...
affect that, can I? Can't affect what they're doing. They're always admonishing everyone. But no, I didn't say that because I knew my wife would already have been thinking it. It was not necessary for me to say those words because they were already in her brain.
So be honest.
And at some point she is going to say, you told me so, for me, as indeed she subsequently did.
And so
that is when a relationship is working.
We need an answer. So, Lee's team, is David Joe's frugal friend, Ruth's charitable chum, or David's rabbit rescuer?
This is a tough one. I mean, Ruth is... It's not likely, is it?
No, I don't think that's likely.
I'm genuinely torn between David and Joe. I don't know.
I've been in the same situation and lost a teddy bear at the airport and I was gutted, cried for ages. I'm going to go with David because I've been there.
I have also been there, so I do feel that this could be true.
I'm aware of, like, how emotionally damaging these situations can be, and for that reason, we didn't buy our children any toys. So it's hard to know.
Fair enough.
Really.
Yeah.
Joe, what did you think? What's it going to be?
Go with David.
I'll go with David.
We'll go with David.
I'm going to say that David held up the train. OK. David, would you please reveal your true identity?
I'm David, and David and I rescued his daughter's rabbit.
Yes, David is David's rabbit rescuer. Thank you very much, David.
I also went to the same resort and skinned a cheetah. I am wearing it tonight.
At the end of my first driving lesson, my instructor told me I'd done pretty well, but that I didn't need to make the noises of the car engine as I drove along.
Please, team.
OK, so what kind of noises would you make?
I find it very sort of reassuring to make noises in the car because I find it quite stressful driving. So on the first lesson, this is when it started, and I'd just go.
So you could replicate that if you change gear, you'd do what you just did then.
What's the reversing around a corner backwards noise?
I need to just get into the character, into the position. I go,
And would you
What's weird about that?
Would you make all the noises? Would you do indicators, for example?
No, let's not be silly.
Just to get to the nitty-gritty.
Yes.
Name of driving instructor, because I remember mine, Norman, and we ate Percy pigs.
I don't actually... Do you know what? I don't... Because I had two, because the first one was a friend of my dad's, and he kept shouting, "Don't panic."
It wasn't Clive Dunn, was it?
I don't know that reference.
Who's Clive Dunn? Clive Dunn played...
Holy...
Clive Dunn played
You've just fallen into the generation gap.
This audience actually oohed the fact that Joe didn't know who Clive... They were like, oh, you piece
Well,
of
you say they
work.
oohed, perhaps they were accelerating.
So what do you think, then, Lee? What is your team thinking about this?
Nikki, what do we think, then?
I reckon it might be the truth.
You think it's the truth?
Yeah, I'd say that. Do you, Miles?
I think just Joe is inherently believable, very trustworthy.
OK, well, we'll say it's the truth.
You're saying it's true. Joe, truth or lie?
It is a lie.
So please welcome this week's special guest, Charlotte. So, Joe, what is Charlotte to you?
This is Charlotte. In the evenings, I like to relax by watching videos of her wrapping gifts on YouTube.
Right. Moira, how do you know Charlotte?
This is Charlotte. She does such a good impression of me that I once let her pretend to be me on Radio 2 and no one noticed.
And Lee, what is your relationship with Charlotte?
This is Charlotte, and she's my judo instructor, and she told me off recently when she caught me having a pint in my judo kit just before a tournament.
Before a tournament? Oh, that's the very worst time to be drinking, isn't it?
David, where do you want to start?
Well, Joe, that sounds like one of the creepiest things I've ever heard. You watch her on YouTube wrapping presents?
Yes.
Why?
Because she's very good at it.
That is not an explanation. That's why you might ask her to wrap presents for you, not observe her doing it.
Well, no, what she does it... she takes great care over the way she's doing it. And it...
So she's slow?
She's slow and
so not very good at it. So...
Joe, how long does it take Charlotte to wrap a present, would you say?
In the videos, I think it's about half an hour.
Half an hour per present? What are these presents?
Is she wrapping a tank? I mean...
Why did you initially think, what I need to relax is to watch someone wrapping presents on my computer?
Well, since I've been a child, I've had this weird sensation when I watch people with bits of paper, particularly, where I get this lovely, like, tingling in the back of my head. And I remember it when my grandmother was doing some paperwork and she licked her finger and turned a page and it made me feel really, really lovely.
The saddest thing is the idea that when you used to go around to your grandparents' house as a child, she used to do her paperwork while you were there. mine used to take me out. They'd maybe cook lunch. Yeah. Joe's coming round. Brilliant. I've got some receipts I need to go through, so...
Do you think then what you're saying, John, is that because of the years of neglect that Joe suffered as a child, he's come to substitute paperwork for love?
It's a relaxing thing. It's like having a massage rather than like a sexual thing. It's not a...
Opening, I understand. I understand a video of someone getting a present and watching the joy. Watching someone wrap a present, do you get to see who opens it? Or it just gets wrapped and that's the end?
I suppose you could play it backwards, couldn't you?
All right, David, who else would you like to question?
Moira, she's the best... She does the best impression of you ever.
Absolutely.
And how did you find this out?
I walked in on the production team on the floor, 2 floors down from my studio, and she happened to be in mid-rap.
She was rapping then?
Oh, she was rapping.
Can I just remind you of who's saying what?
She was in mid-imitation.
Right, OK.
So she works at the Beeb?
Yes, she's a researcher.
Right, OK.
So she was mimicking you...
Yes.
...behind your back.
So really, take a liberty, really, in a way.
Having a giggle.
And you rewarded her by whacking her... Not whacking, sorry. You rewarded her by putting her on your show. That was
not my show. It was the Chris Evans.
Chris Evans' show.
Yeah.
So she actually read a bit of your bulletin.
Yes.
On his show.
His idea.
Oh, it was his idea. Yep. He's a little imp, isn't he? So what would the introduction be? I mean, I'm trying to think now, and I listen to you every day. Of course I do.
The introduction is: this is BBC News on the date. I'm Moira Stewart. Good morning.
I'm genuinely having a panic attack that my kids are late for school.
And that's the bit that Charlotte did.
Yes.
It's possible. I think Moira's voice would be difficult to impersonate.
Don't encourage Rob.
No, on this occasion, have a go.
All right, I'll give it a try.
But if it doesn't work, you may never do Ronnie Corbett again.
No. That's too great a risk.
So,
right. What about Lee?
Lee, yes, tell us about how you got into judo in the first place.
Well, how does anyone get into judo? I was watching Kung Fu Panda.
And ruled out Kung Fu.
My kids loved it, and so they decided to take up martial arts, and they decided to take up judo. So I took my children to the judo, and it was a bonding thing. I said, all right. They said, come on, Daddy, you do it. So I joined the adult class whilst they did the kids' class.
How many weeks have you been going to judo?
I'd say I've been through about 30 lessons.
So it's like a weekly class for judo, but how does the tournament work?
Well, after
Is that on the same day as the class, or...?
Yeah, so we do it every week. We have a class, and then he said to all the men and the women in the class, he said...
Who's he?
Charlotte.
No, I haven't got to Charlotte yet. I haven't got to Charlotte.
So I thought she was your judo instructor.
She is.
She is?
She is, yes.
But he said...
Let me finish. I said tournament. Tournament? I've only done I said, I'll do a tournament when you have a sex change, mate. So she said, next week we're going to have a little bit of a tournament between you lot. So I thought it was just all a bit of fun, so I turned up the following week, ready for my tournament, and I got there a bit early, dropped the kids off, but the adult class starts a bit later, and I saw the pub, went over, and I was chatting with the other bloke, who's one of the dads.
All right, so you're both in your judo gear?
Yes.
What's the name for that?
I call it the white dressing gown.
And she's come bowling in.
So she's come bowling in, I said, bowling's next door.
Why is she in the pub?
Because she's looking for us, and we've gone on a bit late.
Oh, you've got...
Yeah,
right.
well, actually, what actually happened was we were a bit late.
Yeah, what did actually happen?
She's walking past the pub. We were actually at the bar, sort of looking out the window, having a pint and a chat, and we literally saw someone just sort of walk past and go... and then come in the pub and tell us off.
Because used to being the star pupils, obviously, you know, you was going to...
That's not how it works in martial arts, Danny. Not just the star pupils get respect.
Ah.
Everyone is equal.
And what's your favourite move in judo? Because judo is full of a wide variety of stances. And what's the one that really gets Lee thinking? This
You
is
had
for
to
me?
narrow it down to your favourite 6 or 7.
I think it's probably teppanyaki.
Sorry? That's a starter dish, isn't it?
Well, that's the funny thing. All judo moves are named after dishes. I did the sushi, the teriyaki, and the weird one you're not going to believe, the pot noodle.
If you wanted to demonstrate any moves, the floor is yours.
Oh,
if you feel that would help prove your point.
So, well, what you do is, I mean, what would you like to see?
Well, first of all, your opening stance.
OK. Well, don't do it back. Well, an example of a move. Rob, come out here, I'll show you.
Not in a million years.
Yeah, get involved. Get involved.
Danny Dyer.
You started it. You started this, Rob. Do you remember a minute ago when you said, get out there? You're regretting that, aren't you, Rob? Right, stand
How
there.
well have you taught him?
Stand there. Right. So what you do, the first move you'll do.
Bow to him, Rob, for God's sake, or he'll kill you.
Not count. Then you come here.
Ryan!
You take a lapel like this.
Yeah.
You will take a lapel like this.
Yeah.
OK.
Whoa!
Right foot forward like this.
Yeah. Don't you dare.
And then you get like that,
Yeah.
and then you sort of lean on, and then you... Sorry, Rob.
They just said in my ear, are you OK, Rob? I'm a BAFTA-nominated actor! So, we need an answer. David's team. Is Charlotte Joe's soothing stranger, Moira's mimicking mate, or Lee's martial arts master?
Well, let's just get Lee out of the way. I mean, it's just silly.
Oi, come over here and say that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't seem very plausible, but that was a good move.
Well, he goes over easy, though, doesn't he? I mean, I think it's Moira. I think Joe, he's an odd mark, but I don't know. What do you think,
John? I think it's Moira.
Yeah.
I think we think it's Moira. I think on the basis that Lee has shown himself able to push Rob over, and that's not nothing. At the same time, it's not much. Whoa, hang on a minute. The rapping thing, that's just so confusing as a thing that I think I'm going to pretend I've never heard it. So,
you're going for
Team
Moira.
Happy will go for Moira.
The impersonation, the first bit of the news.
Exactly.
OK. Charlotte, would you please reveal your true identity?
My name is Charlotte, and Joe watches my videos to relax on an evening.
Thank you very much, Charlotte.
Thank you.